So I'm sharing my screen, and then if Sari wants to take it up and show some stuff, I'll let them take control. So just let me know, and I can stop the screen share. But I went ahead and jumped into the play world. We have a couple of things that we can share through there.
Nice. That world's getting a bit crazy. So I think I noticed if you turn the shadows down, it makes a huge difference if you run into FPS issues.
Ooh, let's see. I am running to FPF issues.
Yeah, let's put it on like low or something, and it seems pretty good.
I do like my shadows though, so there you go. I set it to low, so hopefully it works out.
How's it going?
Hey.
Hey there. We'll give folks, I guess we got a couple minutes, so we'll give folks a couple more to trickle in.
Every time before this meeting, I just kind of like quickly go back through the things that I've done for the week, and like every single week I do the exact same thing where I'm like, man, we haven't done much this week, and I look back and I'm like, damn, we've done lots this week. There's people doing all sorts of stuff. The core's like constantly evolving. It's funny.
Exactly. That it's accelerating
because I'm like,
it's beyond the core updates you're doing. It also includes everybody else hacking, and every week I'm finding more and more things to pull. And at a certain point in time, it'll be crazy the number of apps being put out and things like that. So I got a couple links to share on the chat. Let me see if this will work. But yep, we're at 6:00. Let's see if there's any more stuff there. No, let's go ahead and get started. We are recording this, so for the folks that are not able to make it at this time, I know it is a Friday, and then for some it's actually Saturday morning, right? Saturday morning on Aussie time. So
10 a.m. here on Saturday.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get through this, record, and people will catch up, and they'll see. Oh, I saw MetaMic pop in here. So that's nice. All right, I got the chat going. Alrighty, let's do this. So I think one thing that I wanted to call out from the last week was that builder competition. So I finally found where Ash had hidden these. You didn't hide these components. You actually placed them and said, "Hey, go have at it." And it took me a while to find it because from just these components, people have built like an entire world. And so super amazing work that everybody's done there. And this was part of that competition that you had Ash posted on X. And so definitely want to give you a chance to kind of give your comments, what you saw out there, and then also announce the winners of this build competition.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, it was kind of an experiment that just came out of nowhere. So I just finished optimizing all these little assets and things that Odd City and Syntiki made for us. And I thought, let's just put them in a public world that anyone can just go crazy with, because it's just the best way to kind of like test it out, see how good it is, fix any issues, and that'll kind of like bleed through to all other assets that people make. And so I thought, why not just have a competition? Who can build a house? It's just a little silly idea, but I think it was pretty fun, and people made some pretty cool things. So I think we ended up with there's about 12 to 15 houses or something like that just throughout here. It's kind of crazy. Like I found one that I didn't even know it was there, and then it was actually really kind of cool. They'd done some like really crazy details. This is one I think from Quad Duck, who works for, I can't remember now. Is it Dapcraft? Something like that. And I thought this was super impressive. And we made a little chat, and I got a bunch of other people to help vote out who should win the prize money. And we did a thing for the video as well. Who could post the coolest video or a time lapse of building their house. This one I think was the absolute winner by far. Everyone said that this was their top one. And like the attention to detail is absolutely insane, and the architectural style of everything is just kind of makes it's just kind of blows everything out of the water. So that's really cool.
Yep. I posted the links on the chat there. There are two links there, so hopefully folks can see both of them of what they posted. And super impressive. Yeah, the best part was the rotating things here on the side of the building. I was like, wow, super cool.
One of the
And then
like while building all of this stuff as well, every now and then I'd pop in there. So there was always someone in here building. I think this quad duck guy was in here like every single time I came in during the whole like day and a half that it was running. So it must have taken him a while to build and like customize all the little bits and pieces in there. But every time I came in there was always like something that I noticed that could be improved. So the first thing that happened was I came in and I was like running at like 20 FPS, and I was like, what is going on here? And it was this big wall thing right in front of you. These like all these walls, there was so many of them. And I didn't realize until I looked a little bit deeper that the 3D model for the wall was quite high poly. Like there's the mesh inside of that. So it was easy enough for me to just like make a quick optimized version. And that's when we built LODs and added that to the core engine. And then I just came in here, right clicked it, and swapped out the model for the new one, and instantly went back to 60 FPS. So there was just a couple little things like that, and that were good to kind of like spot and test and figure out what we need to kind of like improve it. And it wasn't just 3D models. There were like a few core changes that we made that just make things a little bit more efficient for this kind of style of world. And and I was going to say that the world's still running pretty crazy right now, but I think that's mostly there's just a few more assets that need more optimization. For example, the robot dude, that big giant thing there. Those are meant to be like used sparingly, those assets, and I haven't really super optimized them, so they're probably contributing to a lot of the issues right now.
Yeah, the holder of the duck, the protector of the duck, of the mutant hyper duck that we got here.
But we got lots of feedback on the new build mode. Made lots of improvements there, and we'll continue improving it as well for sure. But I think it was a success for sure.
Yep. So congratulations to Quad Duck Beard for the floating house, and then not only did Sony X create like a cool time lapse of him building these massive structures, he also built this really cool space over here as well, this building, which is basically like I would almost call this like a community hangout center. There's like multiple levels, really good open space to drop file shares and things like that. So I think it'll be a really cool space to export once we figure out how to do all that.
I'm super impressed with some of these buildings because like I don't know if you guys are all professional architectures or something, but like some of these I just didn't even consider that you'd be able to make with the small assets that we provided.
Yeah, like oh no, I accidentally picked up a block. Oh no, hopefully I can put it back. Maybe if I just press escape, it'll be okay. Yeah, like again, like that's super impressive. Like those are the base assets. Like just with these, people created some really wild things just with those assets. There's like a pyramid all the way over there. So yeah, this is definitely in the play world, and so check it out. So you can kind of see what is built. I definitely know Sony X is an architect. I think by training, so he definitely had that mind of open spaces. Yeah.
I love that people dropped in a couple of extra things to liven it up, like the little tree thing, the little shrub, trees, ferns, whatever.
Yeah, the foliage, and I think also is kind of a remix. Well, I think this is from one of the community members. I gotta remember what it was. Yeah, Acre Boom. So he created a set, and this actually generates on the fly generates foliage. And so there is a aloe. He shared an aloe plant generator. So let me drop it here in this world. And so this is, I think, an evolution of it where you can actually change how many. You can change how this thing works. And so let's put 20 there and 0.5. So yeah, he created this app, and so it looks like folks took that and started using it in their app. So it's pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
And so one other thing that you shared was the avatar station as well. That we got feedback. Hey, I want users to be able to create to be able to select their own avatars. And so I'm posting on the chat where you posted a quick video of that. I myself was not able to get this thing correctly set up. It might be because of
I think
updated.
It's just that world isn't up to date yet.
Okay,
yeah, we haven't updated it. It's got the new avatar equipment stuff. So yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. So the app is here for folks that want it. Actually both of these. So I'm going to drop the Hello Plant generator and the avatar station as well. So those are there. And so one other cool thing that I saw as well. Let me see. Is there anything else in this the home builder competition, Ash, that you wanted to mention?
No, that's it, I think. But I'm looking forward to maybe doing something like this out in the future, doing more of these. It's a good stress test and a good creative test for people to provide feedback, whether that's literal feedback or just through like seeing things that need optimizing and stuff like that as well. So yeah, and I think it was a bit of fun. So.
Indeed, and something I'm sharing as well. Something cool that not only is it people like are creating apps and playing around, but I see the Seven Roy. I'm not even sure how to say his name. Seven Roy or 70 Roy. I posted a chat here where he like did some core engine hacks and put the user in like some weird psychedelic space. And so I think the hacking that he's doing there is pretty cool, and an example of things that we want people to do as well is not only kind of play with the apps, but also play around with the core engine and give it a shot. Let's see.
It's crazy. So I say Seven Roy as well, but I think it's Toroy. I think it's a T.
It's a T.
Yeah. It's crazy because he's not a programmer in any way, and I think somebody told him to get Windsurf, and he just basically loaded up the Hyperfy code base and got Windsurf running, and Windsurf just started modifying the core and making it do exactly what he wanted to do, which I think is really cool. Like I've never used Windsurf yet. I still like separate Claude on another window and just consult it. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see how easy it is to for an AI to understand our code base and to be able to modify it and kind of like bend it to your will.
He was doing like skyboxes that were shaders, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, and some of those things that I saw, to be honest, are not things that I've even like ever touched before in my life, and so it just looks like absolute black magic.
Mm-hmm.
Like shaders are crazy to me. I understand you can just like change colors of things, but like doing fractal images and like psychedelic things like that, that's mind blowing.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So Meta Mike, I see you're on. I pulled up your. Let me see if I can full screen it up. I pulled up your post that you shared with your AI agents moving around, and I think the coolest thing that you mentioned that the AI agents would wait for each other to complete using the item, which is pretty wild game loop stuff. So if you'd like to talk about what you kind of did, and I know you said you had some struggles early on, and then you finally had a breakthrough. So give us some background on that if you can.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for pulling that up. I actually made some improvements. Honestly, it's just like it's very difficult when you don't know what you're doing and you're dealing with thousands of lines of codes across different apps. But now got in a bit better of a state with animations running. So like there's different animations while you're using different objects in world. There's like, when you change state to state, you trigger different animations, and I've actually got the queue working so that it's a multi-person queue now, and like you need to wait your turn. But yeah, it's been super interesting getting exposure to more of the traditional game AI logic and how it all works. But it's like just a massive puzzle to try to figure out like the logistics of what a queuing system should look like. Who should get priority when multiple agents have a need that is the same, and like how can you attune that to their personality, which is the eventual state of this. But yeah, at the moment it's been a really fun, frustrating adventure to try get things working, but day by day it changes and things improve. So
yeah. And one thing I'm curious about,
valuable sharing the screen of what I've got up currently. I don't know if I can do that. I haven't.
Yeah, go ahead. You should be able to.
All right, let me try.
One thing I'm curious about is early on you had shared a lot of game engine, game loop resources and kind of videos about research and other things. How going from the theoretical to the practical, how big was that jump for you?
Yeah. I mean, it was beneficial information and this is kind of broadly speaking, but like I use Windsurf a lot. I use it. I haven't written a single line of code for any of this simulation. But what I have found very valuable is just listening to YouTube videos about the overarching structure of like JavaScript and like sync versus async, and more conceptually understanding what's going on in the language rather than being able to reproduce things. But you can see here that it's not perfect as it moves object to object, but you can see that agents are moving to objects, and then if they are busy, they wait in a queue. But again, it's not perfect. The first simulation is probably the best. I got to figure out what's happening as it moves to the second object. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the vibe coding I've been doing, just one thing that's been incredibly helpful is learning about the structure and the concepts rather than like how to write an example of something that has nothing that would apply to what I'm doing. But yeah, that's basically it.
And just to confirm, these are app updates, right? These are just creating apps. No.
Yeah. So I have 3 apps here. I have the agent app, which let's see if I can bring the code up. But yeah, like it has different needs. It has a perception radius to understand like how far away things can be recognized. So they have movement speeds, this, that, and the other. But today I've just like been plugging in the animations. So there's different animations per object that it utilizes. Eventually, this will look a lot less robotic, but you've got that. But you've also got the objects. So I just pulled the Hyperfridge, and you've got different classes of objects that satiate each type of need. So here is a fridge, and that fridge satisfies hunger. But you can, like, I've just got all of these presets. You can add what you want, but you just basically associate an object type to a need and put it in world. So I got this bowl going, but haven't really figured out the fun side of things yet. And then you've got this state manager, which just has an update interval and a cleanup interval to basically figure out what's happening in world. And you can see it here that it has each of the agents, which will eventually have names, and each of the world objects in the world. But the reason I set up this state manager thing, which I feel is very crucial to all of this, is that this will allow me to eventually be able to inject this information into an LLM prompt. So it will understand where all the objects are in a world, like spatially understand what the world looks like, and who is in the world, as well as what they're doing and what objects other agents are using. So you can basically just insert all of that information into a prompt and then say, hey, like, this is the environment you are in. This is the historical knowledge that you have based off like a RAG setup that I'll have and a memory system that I'll have. And I don't know where it's going to go, but giving it that world context and injecting that into an LLM, I think we can do some pretty wild stuff.
100% agree. So it's basically a memory module.
It's going to go into Westworld. That's literally what you're building right there.
Yeah, we'll get close. Westworld. I
don't know if you've seen. There's a bunch of like extra core things that could help with this that have happened in the last week. One of which is attachments. So, for example, that bulk, your agents can pick them up.
Stuff like that. Yeah, no, I have used that, and I feel like every day there's like a million different pushes that I could leverage in one way or another. But yeah, starting out with the basics, although it's been very difficult to actually stick to one thing then for more than a week. So very tempting to just drop this and move on to the shiny object.
Yeah, this is amazing, and I think you've done well to kind of keep it compartmentalized, which would help a lot, I'm guessing. And just kind of like you've got this concept of a state, an agent, and then the objects and the needs. I love that you, for each object, you can pick the need that it satisfies, which is kind of like makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think, like, again, it's acting broken because I'm just like playing with stuff at the moment. But the like, you can give it multiple thresholds. So like, if for example, the hunger, like, if it's urgent, if you get really hungry, you can set it to an amount. But if like you need it to survive, you can set that as another amount. But also with each of the objects, you can, if I can figure this out, you can set a utility value, which is kind of based off the Sims in general utility AI setup, where like if you have the same need across multiple things, but one's going to provide you more overarching utility, that gets prioritized. So yeah, trying to set it up with a lot of flexibility from the get-go, even though I'm not utilizing these things. But I think that has also made it very hard to implement some basic things because there's just way more parameters that you're going to make sure are consistent across the board. And yeah, again, I use Windsurf. I'm a huge proponent of it. Like, I've used Cursor in the past and I do love that, but Windsurf is like, someone compared it to like the iOS versus the Android when comparing Windsurf to Cursor. It's just the agent setup of the IDE is just a lot easier to deal with. But one thing that I can definitely have noticed a lot is that it will subtract or just get rid of tons of lines of code just out of the blue that you definitely need. And so it's just like, do this and it does that, but it also gets rid of like 3 days of work. So yeah, really helps if you understand what you're doing. Yeah.
And
so it's best to have like GitHub behind that so you can track your changes.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I've been versioning on like a multiple times a day basis. Like, yes, I should definitely push it to GitHub, but I've just been creating folders like morning
You
session.
you don't have to use GitHub and push to GitHub. You can just use a local Git and just commit, and that way you can roll back if you need to. You don't have to create folders.
That's even more things to learn that I don't want to have to spend time doing. So I'm just copying and pasting to new folders. But it works because
it works.
The reason why I do that is because you can very easily query. Actually, I'll just see if I can share this very quickly. So, like, again, big windsurf maxi, you can create different folders that I've been doing, like different dates. But you can tag like any file. So if I was like, review the 21 folder and give an overview, I don't know, something like that. Just having the ability to tag multiple versions and reference past code, it has been very, very helpful. And then it will just go in, it'll analyze the code. It can also analyze the code versus the code base. And it just makes it very streamlined. And then it will automatically implement the changes that it needs based on what you're trying to do. So, and it will reference it in the code.
So MetaMike, it sounds like you volunteered for one of our tutorials on how to code with AI.
Yeah, I will definitely do a windsurf tutorial as someone that knows nothing about coding. I mean, I truly think it is incredible that I've literally not written anything with any of this. Like, it's a brag, but at the same time, it's absolutely not. Like, it's just wild that the tech now enables you to do things that are way beyond just like write a standalone web app that appears as a one-off. Like, you can build proper systems and this, that, and the other. Anyway, rambling, but that's what I have to share.
Yeah, appreciate that. And then Moody, you asked to speak as well. Was this about the AI stuff as well? Go ahead, Moody, if you can accept. If not, Moody, you could. Oh, there we go. We got him. Go ahead. Oh, you're on mute, Moody. If you're trying to talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm very excited about everything I'm seeing here. It's a pretty genius, exceptionally well designed. But I have like not a question. It's an inquiry. Like, where do I get it started if I don't have any programming experience? Like, I don't know how to use GitHub or Git, and my specialty is in architecture and designing assets and models in an optimized way in terms of poly count and texture sizes stuff. But I have struggled to. I tried to build in Hyperfy by just going to play.hyperfy and press tab and drag and drop GLBs. It kind of worked, but it doesn't give me the exact same flexibility as in Unity. So what kind of resources can you direct me to or tutorials that get me just starting? Yeah, especially that we have like, if you want to add particle systems or big light maps or activate occlusion cullings, like these stuff are essential for optimization. But again, I know how to do it in Unity, but not in custom GS.
Understood. Yep. So we'll probably put up links to guide you to starting up and booting up a world and getting started in a world, so you have an isolated environment, not one stacked with assets. And Ash, you could maybe comment. I know one question I've asked is, when are we going to have Blender inside of the engine, so we could just do all creation within a world?
Yeah. So the difference between Unity and Hyperfy is that Unity is basically like this big, giant, hefty toolkit that has so many things in it. You can even do 3D modeling in it, like move your vertices around, swap out your materials, do custom shaders and all that kind of stuff. We're kind of like trying to find a balance there. We're kind of like trying to be the iPhone of game engines, where you're essentially it's easier to use, but like if you're an artist, you probably want to be using something like Blender for that. And if you're not an artist, you would just be trying to find user-generated content that's pre-made for you, that's ready to go, and has all the logic and stuff built into it. But it sounds like I think you said architecture and 3D design. So that's the kind of thing that you would probably be doing straight in Blender. In Blender, you can optimize all of your stuff there. You can set up level of details so that you've got high poly when you're close and low poly when you move away, which will help a lot. Since our engine is running on the web, it also runs on your phone, and it can run in like on a Meta Quest 3, and other VR headsets. So because of that, I think and being web runtime, things need to be really optimized. And I mean, it's not much different to other games as well. Like I think even in AAA games, like a character is never more than 16,000 triangles. Even in like a game that looks high quality, they've actually like optimized very well to make it look that good, but also be running well. But yeah, in terms of adding interactive stuff. So as I said, like the engine wants to be kind of like the iPhone, like the easy to use world engine, but also provide just enough flexibility for people to kind of do whatever they want. And I think we're kind of already at that point. Like there's things that like we're just kind of building the building blocks, and people are figuring out how to do these crazy things that were never really even considered. But in terms of adding logic and things to 3D models, right now you have to write code, but in the future, the concept, and I think people have even there's a couple of demos of integrating AI there where you can just explain to the AI what you want and it writes all the logic for you. I think that'll become more and more popular over time, where you don't need to worry about like any kind of coding tools and SDKs and downloading anything locally to your computer. You can just kind of do this all in your world. You just bring up a little thing that says, hey, I want to make this door open and close when you get close to it, and the AI will figure that out for you. But yeah, optimization and working on that kind of stuff needs to happen outside of the platform right now. I want to try and make sure that we don't, like there's always crossover and there's always going to be a balance for us. But I think we really want to like err towards trying to not become too. I don't want to rebuild Blender, right? Like Blender already exists. It's amazing. It's actually crazy what you can do in Blender, and it's entirely free. I don't think we need to rebuild that. I think we just need to add the things that are on top of 3D models, which is the interactive stuff, and obviously placement and build tools. They'll just keep evolving. Like people keep asking for the gizmo, we'll give it to you, and the transform controls and stuff like that. We'll all make it into the engine eventually. I hope that answers your question. I kind of went on a lot of tangents there.
Yep. So hopefully, Moody, that helps kind of provide some more information on in terms of how to approach the type of work you want to do. I would say you're probably within the artist category that we have here, where people are building things outside of Hyperfy and then bringing it in for people to experience.
Well, yes, I'm very proficient in Blender, but like, is there some sort of a short form video tutorial on how to like get my entire Blender world inside Hyperfy?
I think we have something that's in progress. So we do have a 3D design section, and it is work being done in progress to kind of align this with the engine constraints and engine capabilities. And then we Omka linked as well here. And that's under the Hyperfy How. So Hyperfy How is going to be probably going to be your main place that you'll be spending time on analyzing and reviewing it, figuring out, okay, how can it work? we are working through these guidelines for people to be able to follow, make sure they're not trying to load too much, because it is web-based. So at a certain point in time, you start losing devices are going to have some limitations on to access the environment that you're creating.
Yeah, the quick start guide is basically, I'm not sure exactly what your circumstances are, Moody, but if you're an artist and you're using Blender, then you basically need to get yourself a world. And the easiest way for you, since you're not like a dev or anything, would be to use something like Hyperworld host. They'll just spin up a world for you, and you can just go and throw your 3D models in there. From Blender, you export to GLTF, and then drag and drop that file straight into your world. And that'll work. And obviously, if you run into issues there, then it might be an optimization issue. You're always going to be like 3D artists are always going to be battling between a balance between having the lowest file size, the lowest triangles, the lowest materials that you can possibly use that still look okay and acceptable for like what you're trying to achieve. There's always that balance. Like, I think if you're building a mug that sits on a counter, and you're trying to do like a 4K texture and like 10,000, triangles just for a mug that sits on a table that no one will really see, then I don't think that's probably a responsible use of triangles.
No. I got that covered. Like the optimization part, I'm very good at it. I was just talking about integration. Like I already built like entire cities with 30,000 triangles and like 8 megabytes of textures. So I don't have a problem with optimization. I was talking about how to make the light maps, how to artistically add the lights and make animated stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna look at the documentation because I'm speaking of ignorance now. I didn't actually go check it out, so I was looking for a quick answer, but I'll go check it out for sure.
Yeah, cool. So just in terms of light maps and stuff, is that we don't currently support light maps, but there is a pathway for us to doing that. You can still bake your lighting into your model, but you'd be baking it onto the diffuse, which is actually kind of like it's not quite as good because it obviously doesn't interact with your lighting and shadows, but it is a pretty good stopgap.
Yep, and then there's also Hyperfy Tools, which comes from our own community member, how he does it. He has done it and provided a tool that also helps add additional elements to work that's being done in Blender to make it easier to import into Hyperfy itself. So definitely give the tools a look. In terms of hosting, if you have no interest in doing self-hosting and kind of running it, if you want other people to access it and don't want to do any sort of server hosting, VPS stuff, you could use one of these hosting services as well that we've shared on the screen, and they'll handle the infrastructure side of things, and you just sign up with them, and you're able to drop stuff into the world.
Yeah, and once you drop that stuff in, basically all you really need to do is export GLBs directly from Blender. Took a quick peek at some of your worlds and they look amazing. But just exporting that as a GLB, dragging and dropping it into world and pinning it, and then basically figuring out what the HDRs and skyboxes that you'd want in that environment are. That's basically all you need to get it in world. There's some collision stuff that you need to take care of within Blender, utilizing Howie's tools, which Maximus has pulled up on the screen at the moment, just to ensure that they've got the rigid body properties and handling everything the way that you want. But yeah, very, very easy, relatively speaking, to get a world spun up and have your creations in it.
Yeah, and we just posted a.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, your worlds look awesome too. I wish I could share it right away, but yeah, looks very nice what we dropped there in the chat. Very cool. Cool. And moving into the scripting side of things, we also have from Shifty, he provided a game, Hyperfall, the Hyperfall game, and so I have been able to pull down that file. I'll tell you where you guys can find it. And Hyperfall his UI is amazing. I never knew that you could do these cool colors in the games in the engine. So definitely recommend checking out the Hyperfall game. He had posted it or it was posted in the Hyperfy World Marketplace. And so in here, there is this Hyperfall app, which you can download from here and then just drag and drop that file into a world, and you'll have access to this Hyperfall world. Let me see if I'm able to just, it looks like, yeah, I haven't had a chance to actually play it myself yet, but let's see if I can force it to start. Oh no, it really wants somebody to go in. Yeah, I'll need somebody else to come join me here. But it is a pretty cool setup that he has
I jumped
here.
in, but you're disconnected, so I can't see you.
Oh, that could be a problem. Yeah, I was AFK for way too long. Let's see. So yeah, I'll make my way over there eventually.
You could also
yeah,
drop it into the agents world if you want. It might be easier to. Oh no, I think that's locked down. It's not easy.
Let's see. Pretty sure I was. Are you by it right now? Oh no, I didn't even drop it here. Yeah, where are you by?
Yeah, it's over there, over by the other house.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay. We got Pantless Ash and Gambler Ash. A Gambler bot here. Let's see if this works. So how do we...
Yeah, I noticed a couple of random things that can happen, but if you join the lobby, it should show up on there. And then I guess we'll start a game.
Oh, yeah. Look, it drops.
I got spawned in a weird place.
Yeah.
I see a number.
Let me see if I can drop... Let me drop another Hyperfall object. I'll delete... Yeah, we'll delete that one, and then we'll try... Yeah, it's created over there. Okay. Let's see.
This is probably not the thing we want to start testing without testing it before we go on stream.
The first time. Yeah. Look, it's actually working though. The countdown is working. Yeah. Look at that. At least I'm the one potentially winning. You might already be on the floor.
Yeah. It didn't
I cheated. I didn't spawn yet. I'm cheating here. I'm floating. And then I was the one that was trying to get him to what do you call it? Make it dynamic, I think, to make the tiles actually fall down instead of disappear. But super cool. I think that's one of our kind of first games on that marketplace, and so it's pretty neat. And all it is a hype file. It's a GLB with a bunch of script stuff on it. And so you guys can download it, open it up in a text editor, and you can see the script, the stuff that he used to create that. So highly recommend checking that out. And moving into the next stuff, let's see what else we got. The aloe plant, I shared that with you. Super neat kind of technique there to create foliage and terrain and things like that. And then the Matt Empire, he's going to be releasing a street view, street asset pack. And I think one of my most favorite things is this was Peasy. I believe that was Peasy that I'll drop that in the chat here. Peasy made a Solana connected experience, so that where you could throw hyper tokens into the world, so you could
like actual hyper tokens. When I watched that video, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." You got throwing things around, and then I'm like, "Wait, you mean you actually just got real hyper tokens, so that if someone picks them up, they can then get them in their wallet?" I'm like, "That's crazy."
Let me see if I could open up the video here. Just just so I could share it. So I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare because it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Let me see how do I do this. So I'll stop the screen share there, and let's see, where was this? Oh no,
Is there a live world we can play around with that, or
not the no? I forgot to ask him.
Right.
Unless he can give it. He did drop the app, so that's another thing is that he did drop an app in order for us to use it.
yeah, rewriting
yeah,
it
let
for
me-
the new world raycast.
Yeah, let me download the file.
I
If we could look
made
at it,
patches obsolete.
and then I'm going to share the screen wherever we get back. Sorry, I'm running around now. Now I have to find the. Oh, there it is. Am I in the right place? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find my way back to the call. There we go. All right. So hopefully this works. Can you guys? Yeah, you guys can see the screen.
Yeah.
So basically, he connected a world to the Solana chain, and now he's pulling Solana out and bringing it into the world. And once it's in the world, he then has access to use it and throw it basically. And so now he has access to the Solana. The server balance is 5, and so he starts throwing these things into the world. And then I got way too excited.
If somebody makes a live world with this, I will just go in and start throwing hyper everywhere. But it'd be cool if there was like places that could hide it.
Yeah, without using the inspect mode. I think we've tried to play hide and seek games, and all you do is open up the inspection and then figure out where the object is. But yeah, super cool stuff because this enables you to have like boss fights and stuff like that. You could, basically beat up a boss, and then he drops a bunch of Solana tokens and stuff, or
He's
NFTs.
fetching the tokens back up too. I don't know if that's actually happening on the chain.
But. Yes, it is. Yeah, correct. That's it. So it's throwing them, and then also just being able to pick them up. So you can see here, he picks that up, and now it's back up to 5. Or whichever number. Yeah, super neat. So let me stop the screen share.
Yeah, there's
there.
an intermediary there where obviously it's not always on every single like transaction every single thing that you do is not entirely on chain. It's only when you withdraw, I guess, it swaps it over. But that's still pretty cool. So you're taking out of your wallet, you're giving it to the world and saying, hey, can you hold this and let me throw things around? And it will track the balances and then do the withdrawal.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nice. And so I dropped the link. That's actually to the latest thing. So he dropped the whole hype file, and you do have to use the hype package in order to apply the Solana patch. So the Solana chain integration is a separate patch outside of core right now. And so in order to enable that, you have to apply the hype package patches, and then you could start using that SPL tokens hype file. And like you say,
this is cool. This is really foundational, and like that's a pretty good demo. But like that kind of encompasses everything that you need to do things like boss fights, PvP staking, which I'm really keen for, and I think Sari nags me to make stuff like that all the time. But like, there's just so many things you can do with it.
100%.
Hype package, or the blockchain stuff.
The hype.
Like PvP. But you need high package to do it. That was Hukao renamed to high package for anyone who didn't notice.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a mouthful when you say it out loud, but it looks good in text. Yeah, I don't know, that thing is pretty cool because, like, I don't know, if we wanted to like integrate MUD framework, which is like on-chain gaming framework with Hyperfy that a lot of people use, we could just like make it as a package and then kind of promote it as like being officially supported, as long as like the package is kept up to date and stuff. But he automates everything. I think he merges like all of the branches that have the packages like daily or something with the dev branch or something. So they should theoretically stay up to date. But
yeah,
I think it would be cool.
Yeah. Mud.dev is only EVM, but I think it's kind of a different story when you think about Solana, because like on EVM, I don't know, there seems like more friction, even on an L2. But in Solana, I feel like you could do a lot more of that stuff on the fly, low cost and whatever.
Yeah, it just depends. Solana's good at like basically anything with tokens or like all the standard stuff. But if you want to do stuff that's like extra custom, then it's a little harder. But yeah.
Shout out to Peasy. We are being graced by the master himself, the hype token master.
XRP next.
And so let's see what else. So I dropped the link there to the high package. He put it. He has a showcase, and we have a working group for it as well. Highly recommend checking it out if you're playing around with a core engine and or want to extend it. That the high package would be a great place to share core updates without having to build a whole different fork for yourself. So exactly. And then we also have a cool preview of the marketplace. I love the name Vanguard, super neat. I love it. And so this is a soon TM, a capability that will be enabled for people to access the marketplace. So and be able to pull down assets that are built specifically for Hyperfy. And is there any other comments, Alpha, that you guys can give us in terms of how this will work or could work? I see games are also included here.
What did you say about Vanguard, sorry?
I thought that was the name of the marketplace, but now I realize that's the name of the game.
Oh yeah, slightly confused there. Yeah, so you talk about the image that we posted, the mock-up for the platform that we're working on.
I thought is it sharing on the screen? Oh no, it's not.
I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we're focusing a lot on like infrastructure and platform right now. Just kind of balancing it between that and working on core things as well, and just trying to keep things unblocked. So I'll just quickly go over a couple of things. So in the last week, we released things like raycasting and player effects, which are going to unlock weapons, sensor systems, combat, fishing vehicles, which all the things you couldn't do last week, you can probably do now. And attachments, like weapon attachments, equipable objects, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so on the side, we're also working on this platform. It's slightly different to what we're trying to do. Well, it's kind of like really different to what we're trying to do with V1. First of all, it's the new engine, but V1 spent a lot of focus on just worlds, whereas we're trying to kind of like encompass the entire, that word you shouldn't be saying, called metaverse, where basically we're trying to unlock all of the tech for not just world building, but also things like avatars, creating avatars, being able to have wearables that you can swap out, and a studio that's similar to other studios that you might have seen, but all using things like VRM as an open source, like an open interoperable format, and also having some kind of store or marketplace for apps and collectible objects, and agents and things like that. There's a lot more other things like floating around that we want to do, but basically like what Hyperfy wants to be is just everything related to metaverse. And I think like we kind of have everything in place now that we're open source. The engine's kind of like way better than V1. There's still things we obviously need to do, but like I think the vision is really clear, the North Star is really clear, and obviously trying to integrate Hyper into that is going to be like the core part of it. And yeah, we're just kind of slowly building that. But yeah, so recently my focus has mostly been on infrastructure stuff. I'm still getting other things out, but in terms of infrastructure, we just need to figure out a way to launch worlds more efficiently than running like an entire dedicated server per world. And then if that's running 24/7, doesn't need to be running when no one's in it, and just kind of like working on that side of the tech. But then after that, the idea is that we'll be launching the platform, which will have world hosting, but also we'll just keep slowly evolving it to have things like the character studio, a marketplace where people can upload apps, trade apps, whatnot, and yeah.
Yeah, and the call out there is that these are basically apps. Each one of these are full just hype files, right? Is the idea, or is it like a mix between hype and GLB assets and things like that?
So worlds will be worlds. Obviously, those are made up of apps, and like I love the concept of that because it's simple to explain to somebody. It's literally a world is just a blank slate that you put apps in, and then you've got apps which can be anything from little like mini games to like weapons equipables. Like I've put random examples there, like wings and flying vehicles and stuff like that. And then avatars are quite literally just VRMs. But the goal is like the ultimate goal is, and I don't know when this will happen. I can't promise anything, but that we definitely want to do it is having a studio, like a character studio that's built specifically for this. I think a lot of people, there's a thing that M3 worked on called Character Studio, which has a lot of the things that we're trying to do. But I think that there needs to be some like extra focus there to make it like really good and layering like wearables and stuff like that on top, and then exporting those as VRM, and just trying to get it generally stable for use like in a mass market. But yeah, it's definitely something we want to do. So yeah, it's basically VRMs, hype files, and worlds, which are just blank canvases essentially.
Yep. Cool. Any questions from the crowd, from the group? If not, you mentioned VRMs. I saw a lot of people playing around with VRMs this last week. I listed a couple folks, so Treed, Salty, Nar. I seen them playing around, and then we found this interesting mutant of a clone X, I think, or something, and with the head of a hyperduck. And so that was pretty funny, running into that. And we will have a tutorial on VRMs. We actually have a lot of design experts and people that know rigging and optimization and building VRMs. So that will be a tutorial on the queue. Let's see if there's anything else. No, I think that's pretty much it. Just announcing that marketplace.
I think Tone wanted to had a question. I think maybe.
Oh.
And I just invited.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Tone. Oh, you're on.
Hey,
is there a timetable for LiveKit integration?
For which integration?
LiveKit.
Oh yeah, voice chat.
Yep.
There isn't, but funnily enough, not a lot of people have asked for voice chat yet, and I think that's because everyone just goes through Discord when they're in private groups, when they go to things, when they go to events or whatever. At least that's my assumption because nobody's really brought it up. Yeah, but we definitely want to add LiveKit. So basically, if you are self-hosting a world, the idea is that you would just have an environment variable that you could set with your LiveKit key. And if that's enabled, then your world will just magically have voice chat that everyone can use. And if you don't have it, it would just be like what it is now. So it's kind of just the lo-fi way of enabling that for everyone that needs it. But yeah, I mean, like if anyone wants to tackle that, go for it. It's something we definitely want to add, but like there's not a lot of demand for that right now. So I think our focus is, at least for core team, is working on infrastructure, platform, and any other major stuff that needs to be in the engine.
Is that
good to know? I wanted to give it a crack, but I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to collide with anything that you've wanted to do, or how you were going to architect it from like the back end of the core.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, your highest chance of getting anything into core, like I want people to build things. I just don't want them to like come deliver like something that was never really asked for. So, but in terms of like LiveKit, that's a really good narrow example where it's like we basically just want an environment variable that you put the key in. If it's there, then it just gets enabled, and everything else would just be like in a system, and it would self-manage and just kind of work that way. But yeah, it's a good isolated feature that I think somebody could work on. It's probably a bit chunky to work on, but we have the basics for audio already. The voice gain that it would get pushed through is already kind of there. So yeah.
Quick question, Ash. Is that in the reference? Hyperfy reference code? That
no, I never added it to the Hyperfy reference. But I'm not going to lie, if we use LiveKit in Hyperfy v1, and I think we were using something else beforehand, and then I heard about LiveKit, and I put LiveKit into our engine in V1 engine in like less than 6 hours or something. There's not their documentation is really freaking good, and just by following their basic tutorials, you can get pretty good. Like, there's not much more that you need to learn there.
Cool. So Tone has his work cut out for him. We are at a minute here. Is there anything from the group in the chat that you folks want to touch upon, or any parting words, Ash or Sauri?
I think we covered most things. But yeah, if anyone has
we're good, I think. Yeah.
Awesome. And also, quick reminder, the schedules for the weekly calls will be shifting for the next 2 weeks. We're going to have some adjustments to the times we start and whatnot. So keep an eye out for the next community call, as well as the next tutorial call coming up next week. All righty. Thank you, everybody.
Peace.
All right. See y'all later.